Ever feel like you're stuck between choosing a big city career or small town charm? What if you could have both? Today, we're exploring 6 U.S. cities that offer the best of both worlds without breaking the bank. Imagine waking up to mountain views, grabbing coffee at a hip local spot, and still making it to your big city job on time. Sounds too good to be true, right? Well, it's not. These cities are changing the game. We all know the struggle of picking between a great job and a nice place to live. But what if you didn't have to choose? Our list has options for everyone. From artsy towns to tech hubs, these cities show a new way to live well in America. They're not the usual suspects, but they might just be your perfect match. Number 1. Asheville, North Carolina, where nature meets culture. First up on our list is Asheville, North Carolina. This mountain town is a hidden gem that's been catching the eye of more and more people lately. Some folks even call it the Paris of the South now. That might sound like a stretch, but hear me out. Imagine waking up to misty blue mountains outside your window. You grab your hiking boots and hit the trails in the Blue Ridge Mountains before most people have had their first cup of coffee. The crisp air fills your lungs as you take in views that'll make your Instagram followers jealous. But don't worry, you won't be late for work. In Asheville, nature isn't just a weekend thing, it's part of daily life. After your hike, you head into town. The streets are lined with cool old buildings and quirky shops. You might spot a street performer or two. It feels like a small town, but with big city energy. That's because Asheville is bursting with art and culture. As the day winds down, you've got choices to make. Will you check out a local band at one of the many live music venues? Or maybe you're in the mood for some world-class food. Asheville's food scene is no joke. We're talking farm-to-table restaurants that could give big city spots a run for their money. The chefs here take their craft seriously, but without the stuffy attitude you might find elsewhere. And let's not forget about the beer. Asheville is often called Beer City, USA for a reason. With more breweries per capita than any other U.S. city, you're never far from a great craft brew. Whether you're into hoppy IPAs or smooth stouts, there's something for every beer lover here. But Asheville isn't just about having fun. It's also a great place to build a career or start a business. The city has a thriving community of entrepreneurs and creatives. From tech startups to artisan workshops, there's a spirit of innovation here that's hard to miss. What makes Asheville really special is how it brings everything together. You've got the natural beauty of the mountains, the buzz of a cultural hotspot, and the warmth of a tight-knit community. It's a place where you can have a successful career without sacrificing your quality of life. Think about it. Where else can you go for a morning hike, attend a business meeting, check out an art gallery, and end the day with a locally brewed beer, all within a few miles of each other? Asheville offers a balance that's hard to find in bigger cities. Of course, no place is perfect. Asheville has its challenges, like any growing city. Housing prices have gone up as more people discover this mountain oasis. But compared to many other popular cities, it's still relatively affordable. The job market in Asheville is diverse, but it might not have as many big corporate jobs as some larger cities. However, for many people, that's part of the appeal. Asheville attracts those who want to forge their own path, whether that's starting a business or finding a job that aligns with their values. Number 2. Austin, Texas. Keep it weird and affordable. Now let's head south to a city that's keeping things weird and wallet-friendly. Austin, Texas has a famous saying, "Keep Austin weird," but what does that really mean? In Austin, weird isn't just a word. It's a way of life. The city celebrates being different. You'll see it in the colorful murals on walls, the quirky food trucks, and the mix of people walking down the street. Austin is a place where you can be yourself, no matter how unusual that might be. But don't let the laid-back vibe fool you. Austin is also a serious player in the tech world. They call it Silicon Hills for a reason. The city is buzzing with startups and big tech companies. It's like Silicon Valley, but with better barbecue and live music. Speaking of music, Austin is known as the live music capital of the world. On any night, you can find bands playing everything from country to rock to jazz. The city's music scene isn't just about listening. It's about being part of something bigger. When you need a break from the city buzz, Austin has plenty of green spaces. Zilker Park is like the city's backyard. It's a huge park right in the middle of town. You can swim in Barton Springs Pool, play frisbee, or just relax on the grass. It's a great place to spend a sunny afternoon. Every year, Austin hosts South by Southwest, or SXSW. It's a massive festival that brings together music, film, and tech. For a few weeks, the city becomes the center of the creative world. It's a time when you might see a famous musician walking down the same street as a tech CEO. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room, money. You might think all this coolness comes with a big price tag. But here's the surprise: Austin is still pretty affordable, especially compared to other tech hubs. Let's look at some numbers. In San Francisco, the average home costs over $1 million. In Austin, it's less than half that. Rent is cheaper too. You can get a nice apartment in Austin for what you'd pay for a tiny studio in New York City. But it's not just about housing. Your paycheck goes further in Austin. There's no state income tax in Texas. That means more money in your pocket for things like concerts, tacos, and maybe a pair of cowboy boots. Of course, Austin isn't perfect. The city is growing fast, which means more traffic and higher prices than before. But compared to other big cities, it's still a good deal. You get the job opportunities of a major tech hub without the sky-high costs. What makes Austin special is how it brings everything together. You can work for a cutting-edge tech company, then go see a local band at a dive bar. You can eat world-class food from a food truck, then go for a hike in the hill country. It's a city that lets you have it all without breaking the bank. Number 3. Boise, Idaho. The best-kept secret of the Northwest. Next up on our list is a city that might surprise you, Boise, Idaho. You might be wondering, why are California techies trading in their surfboards for snowboards? Well, Boise has become an unexpected tech hub, and for good reason. Let's start with the outdoors. Boise is a dream come true for nature lovers. Imagine having world-class skiing just a short drive away. In the summer, you can hike beautiful trails or go whitewater rafting. And the best part, you don't have to leave the city to enjoy nature. Right in the heart of Boise, you'll find the Boise River Greenbelt. It's a 25-mile park that follows the river through the city. You can bike jog or just take a leisurely stroll. It's like having a slice of wilderness right in your backyard. But Boise isn't just about the outdoors. The city has a growing food and craft beer scene that's turning heads. From farm-to-table restaurants to food trucks, there's something for every taste. And if you're a beer lover, you're in luck. Boise has a thriving craft beer scene with new breweries popping up all the time. One thing that makes Boise unique is its Basque community. It's one of the largest Basque communities outside of Spain. This influence adds a special flavor to the city's culture and food scene. You can find traditional Basque restaurants and even attend Basque festivals. Now let's talk about the tech scene. Boise has been nicknamed the Silicon Mountain for a reason. More and more tech companies are setting up shop here. Why? Because Boise offers a great quality of life at a fraction of the cost of other tech hubs. But what really sets Boise apart is its strong sense of community. It's a place where neighbors know each other's names, where you can actually afford to buy a house and raise a family. It's the kind of place where you can build a career without sacrificing your personal life. This sense of community is a big change from what you might find in larger cities. In Boise, you're not just another face in the crowd. You're part of a community that cares. This makes it an ideal place for families or anyone looking for a more connected way of life. The city is also known for its excellent schools and low crime rate. It's consistently ranked as one of the safest cities in the country. This combination of safety, good schools, and strong community makes it a top choice for families. But don't think Boise's just for families. Young professionals are flocking here too. The city has a vibrant downtown with plenty of restaurants, bars, and cultural events. You can enjoy a night out without the hassle and expense of bigger cities. One of the best things about Boise is its size. It's big enough to have all the amenities you want, but small enough to feel manageable. You can get from one side of the city to the other in about 15 minutes. No more spending hours stuck in traffic. The cost of living in Boise is another big draw. Housing costs are much lower than in other tech hubs. You can actually afford to buy a house here, even on a starting salary. And your money goes further in other areas too, from groceries to entertainment. Of course, no city is perfect. Boise's growing fast, which brings its own challenges. Housing prices have gone up in recent years, but compared to places like San Francisco or Seattle, it's still a bargain. So what makes Boise special? It's the way it blends urban amenities with easy access to nature. It's a place where you can have a successful career without giving up your love for the outdoors, where you can be part of a close-knit community while still enjoying city life. Number 4. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Steel City's Silicon Makeover. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania might surprise you. This old steel town has changed a lot. It's now a hotspot for young professionals. How did that happen? Let's find out. Remember the smoky city full of steel mills? That's old news. Today, Pittsburgh is clean, green, and full of new ideas. It's a place where the past meets the future in a cool way. One big reason people love Pittsburgh is that it's cheap to live there. Compared to other East Coast cities, you get a lot more for your money. In some parts of town, you can rent a whole house for what you'd pay for a tiny apartment in New York. Take Lawrenceville, for example. It used to be a working-class area. Now it's full of hip cafes and art galleries. But it's still much cheaper than similar neighborhoods in other cities. Or look at the South Side. It's right by the river and has tons of shops and restaurants. In most cities, a place like that would cost a fortune. But in Pittsburgh, regular folks can afford to live there. But Pittsburgh isn't just cheap. It's also a great place to work. The city has become a hub for tech and medicine. Universities team up with big companies to create new jobs and ideas. You might wonder how a steel town got into tech. Well, it started with the universities. Pittsburgh has some of the best schools in the country. They're doing cutting-edge research in things like robotics and AI. These schools work closely with companies. They share ideas and create new products. This teamwork has helped Pittsburgh become a leader in fields like self-driving cars and medical tech. Speaking of medicine, Pittsburgh is a major player in healthcare too. The city has world-class hospitals and research centers. They're making big advances in things like cancer treatment and organ transplants. But Pittsburgh isn't all work and no play. The city has a rich cultural scene too. Take the Andy Warhol Museum, for example. It's the largest museum in the US, dedicated to a single artist, and Warhol was born right here in Pittsburgh. The city also has a great food scene. You can find everything from fancy restaurants to cozy diners. And don't forget about the famous Primanti Brothers sandwich. It's a Pittsburgh classic with fries right in the sandwich. There's so much art and culture here that some people call Pittsburgh the Paris of Appalachia. That might sound funny, but it's not far off. The city has world-class museums, theaters, and music venues. One cool thing about Pittsburgh is how it mixes old and new. Pittsburgh also has lots of green space. There are parks all over the city. Point State Park, right where the three rivers meet, is a great place to relax or have a picnic. So what makes Pittsburgh special? It offers big city perks without the big city hassles. You can have a great career, enjoy lots of culture, and still afford a nice place to live. It's a city where you can really have it all. Number 5. Chattanooga, Tennessee. The gig city with Southern charm. Let's head to a city that's making waves in the tech world, but not where you might expect. Chattanooga, Tennessee, also known as Gig City. Why do they call it that? It's not about music gigs, but about internet speed. This small southern city has some of the fastest internet in the world. How fast? We're talking up to 10 gigabits per second. That's about 400 times faster than the average US internet speed. But how did Chattanooga get such fast internet? Back in 2010, the city decided to build its own fiber optic network. It was a big risk, but it paid off. Now, Chattanooga is a dream come true for remote workers and tech startups. Imagine downloading a 2-hour movie in just a few seconds. That's the kind of speed we're talking about. This super-fast internet has changed the city. It's brought in new businesses and jobs. People who can work from anywhere are choosing Chattanooga. Why? Because they can have big city internet speeds with small city charm. But Chattanooga isn't just about fast internet. It's also a great place for outdoor lovers. The city sits right on the Tennessee River. You can go kayaking, paddleboarding, or fishing right in the heart of the city. And if you like mountains, you're in luck. Chattanooga is surrounded by them. You can go hiking, rock climbing, or mountain biking just a short drive from downtown. One of the best things about Chattanooga is how it balances city life with nature. You can start your day with a hike in the mountains, work at a high-tech job in the afternoon, and end the day with dinner by the river. It's like having the best of both worlds. The city's startup scene is growing fast. There are lots of new companies starting up, especially in tech. Chattanooga has several co-working spaces where entrepreneurs can work and meet other creative people. These spaces are full of energy and new ideas. Some startups that started in Chattanooga have gone on to become big successes. Downtown Chattanooga has changed a lot in recent years. It used to be quiet and empty. Now it's full of life. There are new restaurants, shops, and art galleries. The city has an arts district called the Bluff View Art District. It's a beautiful area with great views of the river. You can visit art museums, eat at nice restaurants, or just enjoy the scenery. Chattanooga has a unique mix of old and new. You can see this in the Chattanooga Choo Choo. It's an old train station that's now a hotel and entertainment complex. It's a fun blend of history and modern style. This mix of old and new is part of what makes Chattanooga special. Chattanooga isn't perfect, of course. Like any growing city, it has its challenges. Housing prices have gone up as more people move in. And while the job market is good, it's not as big as in some larger cities. But for many people, the benefits outweigh these drawbacks. Number 6. Raleigh, North Carolina, the city of oaks and opportunities. Ever heard of the Research Triangle? It's not a new shape, but a powerhouse region in North Carolina. Right in the middle of it is Raleigh, a city that's got brains, beauty, and a whole lot of charm. What happens when you mix top universities, tech companies, and southern hospitality? You get Raleigh. Let's start with the green stuff. They call Raleigh the city of oaks for a reason. Trees are everywhere. The city has over 9,000 acres of parkland. That's like 7,000 football fields of green space. You can take a break from work and be in nature in minutes. There's Pullen Park, where you can ride a carousel or paddle a boat, or head to Umstead State Park for miles of trails. It's like having a forest in your backyard. Raleigh cares about keeping things green too. They have plans to plant even more trees and use clean energy. It's a city that looks good now and wants to look even better in the future. Now let's talk jobs. Raleigh isn't just about one type of work. It's got a mix that would make a job fair jealous. Tech jobs? Science jobs? You bet. Healthcare? Absolutely. It's like a buffet of career choices. Big companies have set up shop here. They like the smart people coming out of the local universities. And speaking of universities, there are 3 big ones nearby. They team up with companies to create new ideas and jobs. It's like a brain trust that keeps growing. But Raleigh isn't all work and no play. The food scene here is on fire. Bon Appetit magazine called it a foodie startup paradise. That's a fancy way of saying there's a lot of good grub. You can find everything from classic Southern cooking to fancy new restaurants. And if you like beer, you're in luck. Raleigh has jumped on the craft beer train in a big way. There are breweries all over the city. You can spend a whole weekend trying different local beers if that's your thing. What makes Raleigh special is how it brings everything together. You've got job opportunities that rival big cities, but you also get a quality of life that's hard to beat. The streets are clean, the people are friendly, and there's always something to do. For young professionals, Raleigh is like hitting the jackpot. You can start your career without going broke. Housing is cheaper than in many other cities. And there are plenty of fun things to do when you're not working. Even if you're further along in your career, Raleigh has a lot to offer. Maybe you want to switch to a new field or start your own business. The city has resources to help you do that. There are startup incubators and networking groups for almost every industry. Of course, no place is perfect. Raleigh is growing fast, which means more traffic and higher housing prices than before. But compared to other big cities, it's still a good deal. You get a lot of bang for your buck here. One thing that sets Raleigh apart is its sense of community. Despite being a growing city, it still feels like a place where you can get to know your neighbors. There are festivals, farmers markets, and community events all year round. It's a city that wants you to feel at home. The future is bright and affordable. We've seen some amazing cities today. They all share some key things. They're cheaper than big cities, offer a great work-life balance, and have their own unique vibe. These places prove you don't need to live in New York or LA to have a great career and an exciting life. Each city we looked at offers something special. Whether it's fast internet, beautiful nature, or a thriving food scene, there's a place for everyone. The best part, you can enjoy all this without spending all your money on rent. These cities show there are many ways to live well in America. You can have a good job and a nice home without the stress of big city life. So which city caught your eye? Tell us in the comments. And if you want to learn about more cool places to live, please hit that subscribe button and support us so that we can create more content. Thanks for watching.